As is appropriate, I'd ask that everybody please stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone out to the Board of Commissioners meeting commencing at 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday, January 18th, 2017. On the agenda today, item number 1, we have the Carbon County Employee of the Month recognition, Rose Barnes.
Commissioners, our Employee of the Month is way well deserving. You know, I think she's been here before, but she helps, and I'm going to let Daniel and Dawn talk about what she has done. It's Melissa Laszlo. She's from our GIS department. But I also would like to personally thank Melissa. You know, she always has a smile on her face. She helps us all immensely. You know, as we look at budget times, she prints our Department of Labor posters for us. That saves us. I mean, I cannot tell you how much money. They're like about $50 to $75 a piece. She prints those for every department every year. She does so much that I personally would like to thank her because she's always, and like I said, she does it with a smile on her face, and she's just a good employee, and I want to personally thank her before Dawn and Daniel do. So.
Just to give you a rundown on what we started. So when I took over the road department, I went in with having experience there, but not really knowing what I was actually stepping into. So my big concern was knowing what we had and what we didn't have. We didn't have any culvert data for any of the county. We didn't know where they was at. We didn't know what kind of condition they was in. Anything else. I wanted to start a flood control plan and manage that. And so I found out quickly that GIS could take care of that for us with asset management. And that's what we've been working on with not only culverts, drainage, drain boxes, and it paid off when we took our big floods this year. Everything got covered over. We had no idea where our culverts were at. Well, we knew exactly where they was, what we was looking for, and had pictures of them. So it became not a search and destroy mission. The new sign program that we just put in place, previously we used to have to take a laptop into the field, a GPS, and a digital camera to do our signs every year because we have to have sign inventory. And now they brought in Spike, connects right to your Android phone. You take a picture of the sign, it automatically puts it on the map. You can view the picture right then and there before you get back to the office. So we can collect the entire county in probably 2 weeks' time, which used to take us about 5 months. And one person can now do this, and we don't get any of our data messed up or anything else, because you used to have to go back, put the pictures on your computer, and then try to remember what picture went with what GPS location. That's all gone now. The minute you take the picture with the phone, it's done. And it's all thanks to that department, Melissa. She's run the whole program and developed it all, and I can't thank her enough. So, and then when we had the flooding problem, the first flood come through, we had all these volunteers come out. It was kind of utter chaos. We were taking everybody into the road department. We really didn't have a plan of where everybody needed to be. When we took the second flood, she'd already made the maps. We knew where check-in was. People come in, viewed the map. They knew where to go get their sandbags, where all the volunteers needed to be, where volunteer parking was, and it was all right there at our fingertips. So
thank you, Daniel.
I can't thank him enough. So.
Daniel's covered quite a few things there, and some of those I would cover again, especially with floods. People control, crowd control, all kinds of things out there. For me, one of the big things, her willingness to help is nice, but it enables us ability-wise and financial-wise to do a lot of things that we maybe wouldn't have been able to do. I don't think that Melissa and her department get thanked enough. They're very helpful, and I appreciate them, all of them.
Thank you, Don. And I'd just like to add that, the GIS department services all the departments here at the county and also the public. And Melissa's been quite the exemplar employee, always willing to help, always very cordial and polite and educational with the public, with people that come through with all kinds of requests that are sometimes very interesting. She's very polite and appropriate and professional. And so I think this little recognition is well deserving. Congratulations, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Item number 2 on the agenda, we have approval of minutes. Commissioners, I only have one set of minutes. Is that all that you have in your packets?
Yes.
All right, this set of minutes are minutes from the commission meeting of, let's see, this is January 4th, 2017.
I saw no changes.
I didn't have any either.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes approved. Item number 3 on the agenda, we have presentation of PILT payment. Chris Wood, Division of Wildlife Resources.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Wood. I'm the Regional Supervisor for the Division of Wildlife Resources in the Southeastern region. And I come here every year about this time of year to deliver our PILT payment to the county. This year we'd like to deliver a check in the amount of $6,451.07 to the county. It's for properties that we have in the county. 3 different properties. We own about 20,000 acres inside of Carbon County. 15,000 acres of those are at Gordon Creek, our Gordon Creek Wildlife Management Area, which is off of Consumers Road. It's our biggest piece of property, and mainly a piece of property for wintering mule deer and elk, and there's some turkeys there now. But a great piece of property that people love to recreate in and hunt in this area. We also own 2,000 acres at Lower Fish Creek, which is below the Schofield Dam. It includes both stream front property and also some upland property where people can hunt deer and elk also. And then we have 2,600 acres or so at our Cold Spring Wildlife Management Area, which is up on top of the West Havaputs. And so all these lands that we own are open to the public, and we own them and manage them for public opportunity to hunt and to fish and to recreate and do all those traditional things that people of Carbon County love to do. And so these properties, for the most part, were acquired with sportsman dollars, and we manage them for sportsmen and public use. I also wanted to give a quick update on some other happenings in this area, in the county, as long as I'm here today. I want to update you on Schofield. You've probably seen in the news the last few months a lot about Schofield. Our current management strategy, and that is the long term, we want to reduce the amount of chubs in Schofield. You might hear that often, is there's too many chubs in Schofield. Well, we implemented a slot limit on cutthroat trout a few years ago, and that slot limit is increasing the size of these larger cutthroat predator fish, and as a result, the number of chubs in Schofield is slowly going down, and there's not a whole lot of little chubs in Schofield. The chubs are a little bigger now. And so the strategy that we've been using and implementing the last few years is working, and our GillNet surveys show that, and a study that we hired Utah State University to do a few years ago showed that as well. But the last year or two, we've heard more and more from our public who maybe understand that our strategy is working, but from their perspective, it's taking too long. And so we've heard their voice, and in the last few months, we've changed our strategy. We realize that it's probably going to take too long for the Chubbs in Schofield to lessen or to be reduced to a manageable level, and the public doesn't have the patience for that. So we understand that, and we want to make it a good fishery sooner rather than later as well. And so this last fall, we opened up a survey to the public. We had a survey out for over a month, and we got a huge response, thousands and thousands of survey results from Carbon County and other counties, Utah County, other counties throughout Utah who have constituents in there that really care about Schofield. And we asked them what kind of fishery they wanted to see in Schofield, what types of management activities they would support and what strategies they would support, and then also asked them if they would like to be part of a management team to develop a plan. And so we formed a management team. They met 2 weeks ago for the first time. It consists of a 10-member team, both sportsmen and recreationists and local people from Carbon County, a few people from Utah County. And together this 10-member team are going to look at the survey results and as a team write a plan that will then take out to our regional advisory councils and then our board, our wildlife board, that'll decide how to best fix Schofield sooner rather than later. And a few of those things could be a rotenone treatment. We could be introducing another type of predator fish that would eat chubs and reduce chubs more quickly. And so this management team will research and study those different options and then come up with a plan. So the good news is that Schofield will be fixed and become a better fishery sooner rather than later. That's the take-home message for today. We want to thank the county for their partnerships with us. We have 3 great local community fishing ponds here in Carbon County. We have our Wellington Pond, which we've partnered up with in the last year to do improvements on, benches and some walking paths and some shading structures and things like that have been a great asset to our Wellington Pond, and we thank you for that partnership. We're also, have our Carbon County Fishing Community Pond and our Giatti Pond, and we'll continue to support those ponds and stock those ponds and provide great family fisheries in close to our cities here in Carbon County. Other activities we've done in Carbon County, we released a few turkeys, a few dozen turkeys this past winter up at the Gordon Creek area. Turkeys are doing really well statewide, and people are getting really excited about turkey opportunities in the state. And so to try to grow the turkey population closer to price here, we released about 30 turkeys back in December. And as turkeys continue to become problems in places like Logan and on the Wasatch Front, they look for new homes for those turkeys. And so we have a place at Gordon Creek where we can transplant some of those turkeys and provide them with a new life here in Price or in Carbon County. It's a good program we have. It's a win-win. And lastly, I'll just mention our mule deer herd. If you've talked to any mule deer hunters this year, I think you'll hear from them that the mule deer hunting was really good statewide. Our herds the herd sizes are up, and the quality of bucks are up as well. And so probably a result of a whole bunch of factors, but certainly the habitat work that we've been doing statewide certainly helps that. And that includes working with a whole bunch of partners, our BLM and our Forest Service and our Forestry, Fire and State Lands and our state lands partners help us do restoration projects on habitat statewide. And then, work that we do with UDOT on building fencing and underpasses also helps our mule deer herds. And so good things are happening. We recognize the importance wildlife plays. It's our constituents here in Carbon County, and we try our best to meet their needs and listen to their concerns and manage wildlife for them.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Chris. Commissioner Hopes, did you have any questions?
I don't.
Chris, we appreciate what you do and for the update today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And of course, anytime you come with a check, we'll let you talk.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, item number 4 on the agenda. We have consideration and approval of amendment. Consideration and possible approval of amendment to increase cash in lieu amount for interlocal cooperation and subrecipient contract agreement for senior center with Southeastern Utah Association of Local Governments.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah,
So do you guys have the contract?
Yeah.
right here.
So there's an increase of $3,655 above what the original amount was. And
Can
we'd
you-
had a
Can you say that amount again, just fast?
$3,655. We'd had an... Is your microphone on? I don't know. Oh, like that. How about that? Anyway, the original contract had an increase of $30,752, but they've increased it again by $3,655, which is a total increase of $34,407, which is, a good thing.
So they're paying us more money.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, in a lot of years. In a lot of
It's
years.
been steadily declining for a lot of years.
Yes, it has been declining for at least 10 years,
Yeah.
so.
Commissioners, sorry,
If we
go ahead.
if we can get the contract signed today.
Commissioners, were there any questions in regards to the contract?
I have no questions.
Christian, I imagine it's the same contract, just with an additional $3,000.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
It's like anytime you bring us a check, right?
And then I'll take it to them and then get their signatures and then copy it back to
All right, and the date is the 18th. And then Christian needs to sign that as well. This is the same thing, it just has two of the same being signed. Thank you. All right, well, that's getting taken care of. We'll go ahead and move on to item number 5 on the agenda, which is a public hearing. A public hearing to consider and possibly approve a recommendation from the Planning Commission for a change to the Carbon County zoning map on parcel 02-0858 from RR-1 to R-1-20K, located approximately 750 west, 1100 north, Carbonville, for Carla Sacamano. And we'll go ahead and open this,
Let Todd or somebody discuss it first, and then we can open the meeting.
there's Todd. Todd, will you please come and explain?
So we have a request to rezone a parcel of land that was our rural residential or RR1 to our residential 20,000 square foot lots. So it's going from 1 acre down to half acre is basically what it's equivalent to. It's roughly 12.5 acres over by the Questar plant over in Carbonville. So just going down, like I said, to half acre lots with a proposal to do a subdivision. So that's the request.
So that's the first step then, is for the zoning change, is what
Yep.
you're telling us.
Zoning change, and then depending on the outcome, if it is approved, then we'll go through any other processes approving the subdivision and all the requirements for that if it's approved.
And this is part of an ongoing process. We've already been approving certain things. This isn't the first time that Carla's come before us. This is just, instead of 1 acre lots, now we're going to half acre lots.
Correct.
I don't know if, commissioners, if you have any other questions for Todd, or?
Were there any concerns when this was brought before the Planning Commission?
No.
Carla and Kevin Callahan have been to the planning commission several times, and it's been pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and open the meeting.
Well, I'll go ahead and open the public meeting. It is 4:50. Thank you, Todd. And anybody who is affected or is concerned by this development, please come and voice your opinion and voice your comments for the record. And remember to please state your name for the record and be considerate of other people who've made comments. Try not to repeat the same comments that have been made, but to add new information. Thank you.
My name is Rebecca Gray, and I have lived at 700 West, 1220 North for 43 years. And the reason we bought that property is because it was rural. We did not want any kind of housing. As it is out there now, the roads are always busy. People are going 55 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. And if that housing is approved, there will be traffic going by my house continually. And I am totally against any kind of housing in that area.
Tell me your address again so I can...
700 West, 1220 North.
Thank you.
I haven't known of any other hearings to come to, but this is the first one that I've had a mailing to come. And I'm concerned, really. I think we're overpopulated as it is. It's a wildlife area. There are deer, there are all kinds of wildlife, and in the summertime, spring and summertime, we have a couple of birds that have been there for at least 10, 15 years. They come and spend the spring, summer, and fall and migrate in the winter. And we look forward to seeing them. If there's housing, that's gone. And I'm sorry, but I like to live in the country.
For sure. All right,
What was
now-
your name again?
Rebecca Gray. Now, Rebecca, where this is located on Carbonville Road, just to the west, is that
Mhm.
correct? And where's your address compared to where this street is? Is it on the same street?
Okay, if you come down the road past the fuel, Mountain Fuel, or whatever it is, and turn right, and there's a dirt lane on the other side of the field, and I live up that lane.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Mike Robertson. I guess I'm unclear as to the area that they're proposing to do this. Where does that lie?
So-
Is that behind
We have a little
Questar
map here.
plant?
Mike, from where you live, it's on the other side of the tracks, heading west.
So this is the lot here that she's proposing to subdivide. Questar is right here. So here's Questar. Isn't it right here?
It's the field right there.
I was thinking of the wrong spot. That's right. Todd, I was looking at the wrong development spot. It's right here.
It's that field
Okay.
all the way out in the front.
So it is pretty much your neighbor. Yeah. So, show more questions. Right here. So that's this whole thing right there. Thank you for that clarification, Todd.
That does impact, like the lady said before me, 1100 North seems to be everybody's speed trial street. We already have speeder problems out there that we have yet to control. Am I right? And in doing so, are we going to, if this is pushed ahead, is there going to be some speed restrictions? I would like to see the speed limits changed out there as it is. I don't believe that that particular area needs to have a dotted line, and there's people that pass out there all the time. There's different times of day that it's worse than others, but the speeds out there are ridiculous as it is.
Remind me, is it 35 one way and 40 the other? Is that what the speed limit is right there?
It changes, and I believe it should just be 25 by the middle school. I believe it is now, all the way through to 750. And that area that you're talking about is just going to be increased traffic. There's a lot of things to consider.
I know in the wintertime, like right now, that curve right by the Questar is very icy.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going over the 25, like you mentioned, they often do, it's only a matter of time before somebody ends up through the fence.
As we've seen lots of times out there. So I'm kind of against it right now. There's a lot of things that I think needs to be changed in order to proceed with that.
Is your biggest concern the speed and the traffic?
Yep. And we're rural. We live out in the country. We choose to live out in the country because we don't want neighbors. And I don't have neighbors. That would make neighbors right in my yard.
Yeah, you're right next door, yes.
Yep. So I'm against it.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
May I make an additional comment?
If you come to the mic.
Sure.
And as long as it's not a repeat of what's been said.
No. I'm just clarifying the speed limit. Past my house, it is posted 25 miles an hour. I think I am the only person besides Molly Girardelli that goes 25 miles an hour. They're going 50 all the time, and it's frightening. I won't even walk along that road. So.
Well, thank you for expressing that concern.
Thank you for having me. I'm Carla Sacramento. I'm the one that wants to change the zone. I do want to talk about the wildlife just a little bit because they did talk about it. The way that we are doing the zone change, lot 15 and 16 will remain a field because I do understand that the wildlife is there. I do want to clarify to the public that is here, it's currently zoned 1 acre. So homes are allowed to go up in this area. And I don't want that to come across as by you guys accepting or denying this, that homes will not be built in this area, because we already do have it approved. The only thing that it would affect is the lot sizes. So I do agree with them. If they are having issues with the speeding, that is something that we probably do need to address with the police department. But as far as it being rural, we're keeping it that way. A half acre is still rural. And if I wouldn't have done this, somebody else would have. I actually competed with people on this property. So there are other people that did want to subdivide it. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we are still trying to preserve the area.
The two areas that are going to remain as fields, could you identify on the map which two those are?
I can bring it up to you. The lady speaking here, her house is here.
Mm-hmm.
So right across from her house, these two would remain the field.
Okay, so just adjacent to the road is what you're subdividing. And this would still be farmed. So those, okay.
We didn't want.
Well, let the other commissioner see
I
that.
saw it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
We didn't want to do the full 1 acre because I felt like that could junk up the area as well. People could put stuff back there. They could put cars, all kinds of things. So we thought half acre would be good enough and then reserve the field.
So instead of deep lots, like several of them are out there, where they have
Right.
the small frontage and a very deep lot,
Right.
you just cut the size in half, basically.
Yep, we did.
Commissioners, I don't know if you have any other questions for Carla?
I don't.
Barry? You live out in that area?
He lives across. Did you want to see it?
My only comment, well, first of all, full disclosure, I am a county employee. I also live just south of there. My personal opinion, half acre does not constitute as rural. You look at the area of Liberty Estates, those are half acre lots. I wouldn't classify Liberty Estates as a rural area. I would prefer more of the 1 acre lots myself, but my other concern is if you put multiple entrances like I see to 1100 North, it's going to congest that street quite a bit, which would cause the entrances and exits as traffic comes in and out of the driveways. So those are my concerns.
Which would be a county issue to remedy at some point, I would imagine.
Or a condition of the developer.
Most often, those are addressed by the developer if they create the problem.
As far as I know, this meets the standards, but I do want to say one other thing. The tax revenue that we're bringing in with this development would help with a lot of issues that you guys do have, whether it's fixing roads, things like that. So the more homes, the more taxes that Carbon County will get.
Is there a future plan for those fields?
No, there's not frontage. It's a dirt road.
So in order for there to be anything built back there other than the hay fields, there would need to be a new road developed.
Correct, and we'd have to do it through 14, not through their property. I don't have an easement on their road, and it's not a prescriptive easement.
So it's not
So we
something
would
that-
have to take off lot 14. And this is just a rough draft, it's not approval. I think we'd have to take off these two as well, based off of what I talked to with an engineer. So, and that's just steps down the road for the pond if we have to do so, things like that.
A drainage pond or whatever?
I guess that we're not to the point where we're talking about drainage at this point then.
No.
That has not been addressed.
The only
is
reason why I
just
addressed that is
rezoning.
because Barry mentioned
Gotcha.
the homes and coming in and out and things like that. There may not be this many homes here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, can I make a comment on the legal standard that's before you tonight? Just a reminder, a zone change is a legislative decision as opposed to an administrative decision. So with a legislative decision, Utah courts state that you have, that they will give great deference to your decisions. A legislative decision, the standard is whether it's arbitrary or capricious. And a court will not find a zone change or the denial of a request for a zone change arbitrary or capricious, as long as it's as long as it was reasonably debatable as to whether your decision was in furtherance of the general welfare. So a court will look to see that in an administrative context, such as a conditional use permit or a subdivision application, the court's going to say that there has to be substantial evidence that supports your decision. In a case like this, where it's a legislative decision, where you're enacting a broad application as to what you think what type of area this should be, the court will give you great deference, and you, as long as your decision is reasonably debatable as to whether it would have helped the general welfare, your decision will likely be upheld. So, and that is different than if a subdivision application were before you, in which case you would have to find your findings, your approval or denial of the application would have to be based on substantial evidence one way or the other as to whether or not it will support the general welfare of the citizenry.
So legislatively, we just need to decide if we feel better about the lots being an acre or half acre.
Correct. It can be more of a philosophical or a political or a decision based on basically what you would like for that area to be and to look like, and to basically any debatable reason will pass muster with a court.
Todd, I have an additional question. This may not be something you know right off, but some of the lots right there where the road tees, comes down from Questar, tees, on the other side of those homes is the railroad tracks. And I can't imagine that those are 1 acre lots by themselves. They would appear to be smaller, is that right?
I would have to look exactly on the map, and they may be slightly smaller. I didn't look at those specific lots specifically.
I know that code for much of that area right now is that they want it to be an acre, but I can't help but think that there are several of my neighbors that are less than an acre.
That's possible,
And I
yes.
say my neighbors because I live out there too. So, anyway, I was just wanting to throw that into consideration.
Okay.
That over the years, zoning has changed a variety of different times, and we have a lot of different sizes and shapes out there.
Yeah, there are areas where it might be zoned 1 acre or even a half acre, and there are lots that are at times smaller because of when we enacted that zone that happened to be slightly smaller, and so it was more or less quote grandfathered in. It was an acceptable lot at that time.
Thank you, Todd.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, commissioners, unless there's any more comment from the public, if not, then I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item. Well,
No, we
whoops,
need to
I
make a-
apologize. We need to make a motion concerning that. So I'll entertain any further discussion or a potential motion there.
Commissioners, I'll go ahead and make a motion from where we are at this point in time to approve the zoning, but that it will also have to come back and be subject to the development code that is prescribed by the county.
We have a motion.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And the next step in the process is, of course, Carla Sacamano with her development needs to get everything further down the road with the Planning Commission and with engineering and with all the following requirements that are necessary to have a subdivision. This is just a first step in the rezoning.
Well, that's the final step in
Well,
the rezone.
I appreciate
The
the
first step
clarification
in the subdivision approval process.
Thank you, Christian. Item number 6 on the agenda, review and possible approval of software agreement with Cassell. Barry Horsley. And Barry, this is an agreement, we've had an agreement before with Cassell. We currently use Cassell.
Correct. So this is the financial accounting software that's used in the clerk auditor's office. As Seth and I talked, what's going on is this is a proposal to move it to what's called a software assurance program, meaning we pay a fee on top of our annual support, and along with that fee, we get any upgrades that come along the way. It just so happens that there is an upgrade currently, and so immediately we would be upgraded to the latest version. This software would take care of all the legal requirements of reporting that is coming up that would deal directly with not only the clerk's office, but also the HR department as well.
And commissioners, as I look at this agreement, basically, it seems, I didn't see a specific termination date. It basically, it does say for 1 year, then it's automatically renewed unless either party gives written notice of the termination at least 30 days in advance. think the issue here is there's nobody other than Kinsell really that's competitive with them, is there, that does this kind of software?
There are other financial softwares out there, and years ago we did look at them, but for the price that we're paying, we're getting a pretty good deal.
Okay.
Just for example, another software that we talked about looking at, the purchase price was approximately $1 million.
$1 million?
Mm-hmm.
So what was the increase?
Seth, it was about 7,000.
It is about $7,000 if you were to just purchase the upgrade on its own without going through software assurance. It'd be more than that. I think we've worked out a pretty good deal. The problem with our software right now is it's becoming outdated, and so as changes come up, just like every kind of software, they'll stop supporting certain aspects of it, and pretty soon we'll have to bite the bullet. This way, any new upgrades that they come out with will be rolled out to us as they come out, and we don't have to have a spike in the budget in 4 years down the road to buy a whole new accounting package.
That's an annual payment.
So this is-
increase of 7,000
This is a change from
for a
what-
total of.
So, excuse me.
17.
Yeah. So, actually,
Okay, so it was a 10 with an increase of 7, so it's a $17,000 total.
yes.
And it's now, if I understand correctly, a subscription rather than a, like a QuickBooks 2014. Other than a year purchase, we are receiving updates annually because we are subscribed to pay this annually?
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to make that clarification.
On the same note, it's nice to have on the eastern half of the state, and there are different accounting softwares for governmental entities across the state, but Price City, Carbon County, Wellington City, Helper City, Emery County, Grand County, East Carbon City, we all use the exact same software, which has been very helpful when, if we have a problem, I can call Lisa at Price City, or if Wellington has a problem, they can call me, and we work back and forth together. It's kind of nice that everybody stayed with the same platform, because nobody else cares about Eastern Utah, so we better stick together and try to care about ourselves. So.
Motion to approve the contract?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Barry.
Motion to adjourn.